Tech savvy people of Reddit, what is a computer tip you are sure most haven't heard of? If you like to play games with a controller on another monitor, you can move the screen to different monitors using Shift Windows left or right arrow. I found this useful for games that don't allow monitor selection, since you'd normally have to change your primary display. This is the sort of tech tip I came here for. If you constantly swap between accounts for the same service, for example Google, Microsoft, some browsers let you set up profiles Edge, Chrome, etc. For example, you might use Google for work and personal use, and it's a pain because it'll default to one account every time. If you set up two browser profiles, you can keep them separate and both signed in. Firefox container tabs are great for this. Basically the same thing, and they are color coded in the tab bar. This one is simple, but holding the shift key in combination with other keys will often reverse the action of the other key. For example, spacebar on a web page scrolls down, shift spacebar scrolls up. Tab on a web form will move the cursor forward to the next element in the form. Shift tab moves you backward. Wow, I didn't know about that. I knew shift tab, but I didn't realize it was because of that. It is usually a waste of time hitting the backspace key more than 2 or 3 times. Using CTRL backspace you delete the whole word. If you have issues sometimes with games and have an NVDIA GPU, you delete everything in C program data NVIDIA Corporation downloader. Also, after many updates this directory might have a lot of old downloads taking up significant amount of space also. Could this cause my screen to flash black sometimes? It's black like half a second then normal. Edit to add. Dell gaming laptop with NVIDIA 1080Ti. WinKey keeps a history of all your recent text copies. So if you selected copy on multiple items, you can choose which one to paste without having to go back to wherever you copied a word or phrase from. WinKey Shifts is great for taking screenshots of the whole screen or parts of the screen. Some more WinKey fun. Some folks don't know. WinKey navigates or hides the desktop. WinKey E opens up the file explorer. WinKey X opens a dialog where you can choose different settings. WinKey tab gives a nice overview of all different open apps to navigate through, and many more. WinV. Didn't know about this. Worked at Manuscript for over a decade. Edit to first time you tried on Windows 10 build October 2018 or later, it'll prompt you to enable clipboard history. Thanks you pajama drunk, and you erase the app if you don't enable it and you want it later but don't see a prompt anymore. You need to activate it. To activate this shortcut, select Start Settings System Clipboard and turn on the toggle under Clipboard History. Source link. Control Windows keyed. Only works for W10. This will create a new desktop. You can switch between desktops using Control Windows key right left arrow. To close those extra desktops you just made, Control Windows key F4. It'll move any programs you have open. Grabbing a program and shaking it will minimize every other program. Shaking it again will maximize them back up. Grabbing a program and shaking it will minimize every other program. Shaking it again will maximize them back up. Oh my god. This has been happening to me unexpectedly and was often a pain, since I have a lot of windows up on my monitor at once and have to manually click each one to bring it up. I had no clue why this was happening. Thank you so much. If you work in healthcare, you really need to know that WinL immediately locks your computer. Useful for keeping eyes off patient data. Got 'em. I do this every day after everyone leaves. They just leave stations open. They auto lock after an hour, but I'm paranoid. And our login is super easy. And my name is the only name in the system of a huge company. Like, how is a 3-letter name the only one on a cloud system? Like Tom but not. UK keyboard configuration maybe. I was messing about a while ago to see what each Win thing was, and the emoji window came up from. Then a while after, a colleague was saying I really want to add a laughing smiley, and I said to press Win, and they thought I was some sort of tech genius just from that. It's Win. For US configuration. It's got a ton of the special symbols and characters now, so no need to remember alt num to get any more. If you're like me, you probably don't remember everything you've put on your hard drive and keep running out of free space. I recommend a program such as WizTreeLink. Basically it gives you a graphical representation of what you got on your hard drive so that you can delete those 25 gigs of WI-ROMs you downloaded last year into one of the 53,935 folders on your desktop and had forgotten all about. You're supposed to just get another hard drive and begin making a NAS. uTorrent is a spy we use BitTorrent faster and safer. And seed what uTorrent do it for the rest of us. Edit shameless plug, switch to Firefox if you're not using it already and install a block origin on it to block trackers and ads. Enable all of the block lists in its settings and you're good to go. Reading the error message usually explains the error message. My go-to Quicket story. I support a lot of doctors and had multiple in 1 week do the exact same thing. I opened Outlook and it says I have to sign in to continue, but I can't get my emails. Did you sign in? No. I closed that prompt. Why won't this work? Deleting something doesn't magically make it disappear. If you delete something by mistake, it is fairly easy to recover it using specialized software. If you want something gone, you have to rewrite the sector multiple times. Ctrl Shift will reopen any closed tabs. Windows key will open the emoji panel if you feel the need to add some into whatever you're doing on a Windows 10 PC. I thought images was Win. Got a couple here. Always at least take a look at the custom options when installing a program. Never know if that installer is trying to sneak a potentially unwanted program in. With how often it resolves issues, turn it off and back on again. Yeah, everyone's heard of it, but seriously try this before calling support. More useful is as mentioned by another Ctrl Shift ESC opens Task Manager. What I mentioned is that it should work even if Explorer X is unresponsive. Use the always on top feature to make sure it never gets hidden by an unresponsive window. Shut down your PC automatically after X amount of time. Open command prompt Windows key R, then type CMD X. Type shut down 3600. Your PC will now shut down after 1 hour. 3600 seconds 1 hour. To cancel the automatic shutdown, type shutdown A. Of course this works with any amount of seconds. No shady program like you often find people use needed to shut down your PC. It's all built into Windows. Probably something obvious I'm missing. But why do people often need programs, shady or not, to shut their PC down? The only thing I could think of is the regular shutdown button not working, but I can't imagine that that'd be common, as I don't recall it ever happening to me. When cleaning your PC, do not use vacuum cleaner, use compressed air cans. Static electricity produced by vacuum suction through plastic tube could kill your motherboard and everything else with it. Also, fun fact, if you decide to exchange some components inside your PC, after turning it off, remove power cable and then push power button a few times. That will discharge any powered capacitors inside, so you won't short anything during your job. Edit random all caps and a fat finger typo. Auto hotkey is great. Doesn't take much to make useful scripts. Personally mostly use them in games. Like for example recently in RimWorld, there is no option to use thumb buttons on the mouse, so I made a script for that. Frequently when trading I've needed to spam clicks. Same thing. Script for that. Makes some things a lot more convenient. If you are looking for a way to discreetly browse Reddit at work, school and look productive, here are some good tools. Applicate link makes the front page look like your email. Worded link makes it look like a Word document. Code-redded link or Reddit shell link makes it look like code. So Reddit link makes it look like Stack Overflow. Clicking the cast button while watching gay porn will open your closet door. There's a technique called Google hacking. Basically there's some hidden commands to help you search things and filter content by using the search box. Here's the list. Cache displays the version of a web page that Google contains in its cache instead of displaying the current version. Syntax cache website name. Link lists any web pages that contain links to the page or site specified in the query. Syntax link website name. Info presents information about the listed page. Syntax info website name. Site restricts the search to the location specified. Syntax keyword site website name. Untitled returns pages with specified keywords in their title. Syntax: Untitled keywords. Untitled returns only results with the specific query in the URL. Syntax: Untitled keywords. Examples. In the search box enter the phrase site www.willy.com or INO. This will search the Willy website and return any references that include the name or INO. In the search box enter the phrase Untitled network camera. This will return a list of web-enabled cameras that are attached to the internet. In the search box enter the phrase LinkItPro TV. This will return a list of websites that link to the website ItPro TV. A little warning: be careful of how many times you use the operators in a short period of time, because Google can shut down queries using these advanced operators if too many appear in a short period of time. Source: Sev9 Certified Ethical Hacker version 9 Study Guide. On the Windows taskbar, create a new toolbar and point it to this PC, my computer, whatever it's named for you. Drag it all the way to the left and shrink it as small as you can before you lock the taskbar again. Now, by clubbing the little arrow that shows up, you can browse all your drives through menus without having to open a single window. I've been doing this since Windows XP. Edit: glad to see people are blown away by this. All it takes is a click to open a file, or a double click to open a folder. I should post this in a life pro tips. If you have bought or built a new PC but have difficulties running your favorite games at high FPS, even though you have everything plugged in correctly, try swapping your HDMI cable to the GPU HDMI out and not the onboard motherboard HDMI out. Some dude played several years on integrated graphics and complained that his games ran at such an average speed, even though he paid a good amount of money on his GPU. Edit 1: he did not complain, but read on another thread of someone else finding out that he used the wrong HDMI out. Double checked his HDMI out and found out he himself played on his onboard graphics for 4 years. That tech support people absolutely hate people who use the line "I'm not a computer person" as an excuse for refusing to learn basic operation of a PC. Turn your PC off and on. How do you do that? Open a web browser. What's that? Person takes 5 seconds to report that they've turned their PC off and on. Sir, you turned the monitor off and on. My PC is slow. We need to close most or all of these 50 tabs you have open. No, I need those to work. Tech bangs head on desk. This really makes me scratch my head at times. I just think of my mother and basically her entire generation. They've been using computers at work pretty much since the Windows 95 days, and yet you'll still get blank stares if you say something like "open your web browser." It gets to a point when these people have actually been around computers for almost as long as I've been alive that it's no longer an issue of "we didn't grow up with this stuff, so we are not as good as you," and it's more an issue of "I refuse to learn a single thing 30 years later because it's easier to just call the grandkids to do it for me." It's 2021 and personal computers have been a thing since the 1980s. "I'm new to this" is no longer an excuse. People that work from home remotely, if you want your PC to be as stable as possible, don't lock your PC at the end of the day. Shut it down instead. That way the next day, when you boot up, your PC synches with the network server and applies whatever little tweaks going on by network administration. I was as guilty as anyone of not shutting my laptop down properly. Now I make sure that I turn it off every Friday. It's massively cut down on the number of random weird problems I experience, i.e. the type of issue solved by restarting. Edit: this comment blew up quite a lot, so I guess at this point I should clarify. Everyone in my company uses a laptop. At the end of the day everyone just closes the lid, putting it to sleep or hibernate. I forget which way round it is. On a Friday I'll apply any software updates and then hit shutdown. I honestly don't think it matters whether you do a shutdown or a restart. The main thing is that your computer has a chance to begin anew. Do not eat rice pudding over your computer carelessly. This is one that isn't so obvious at first. Lots of people, myself included, never gave a second thought to the consequences of such a thing until of course it was too late. At no fault of my own, An unknown series of events occurred that resulted in rice pudding inside my computer case, where it went directly into the spinning CPU fan and across the motherboard. I woke up from the sudden affliction that had caused me to black out, forgetting what happened, and I saw the rice pudding in my PC, and it was a disturbing vision. I reached for the power button, but it was like I was moving in slow motion, like I was submerged in pudding. The fan was spinning slowly now, bogged down by the pudding. But the PC was still on. It was still operating fine. My hand was still reaching for the power button. I knew I had to reach it immediately. Precious microseconds passed as I moved ever so slowly toward the button, my finger outstretched. Then, just as my finger impacted the power button, the PC went black. Before I could press it, the fan stopped spinning as my finger pressed the button in. I was too late. The pudding had done its damage. Had to replace the whole motherboard. Ended up getting a slightly worse model than the one I had. Old PC used to have 3 USB slots on the front, and this one only has 2. I live with that reality every day. Sometimes I have to get down on my hands and knees and crawl back behind my PC to plug a USB into the back slots too. I learned my lesson that day, but I still drink and eat around my PC. But I rarely eat pudding anymore. I just can't enjoy it the same way.